Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I want you to listen carefully because what I am about to share can change the financial trajectory of your life in 2026. You may have been praying, working hard, and yet feeling like your efforts are going unnoticed. But God is not limited by your circumstances. He is unlimited in power, in blessing, and in provision. And today I want to tell you, if you do this, God will increase your monthly income in 2026. Listen carefully. It is not magic. It is not luck. It is faith coupled with action, obedience, and alignment with God's principles. Many of you are struggling financially, thinking your breakthrough is far away. But let me tell you, your breakthrough is closer than you think. When we talk about tithing faithfully, I want you to understand, this is not just a ritual. It is a declaration of trust, a declaration that says, God, I believe you are my source. So many people hesitate because they think, I cannot give when I am struggling. But that is exactly the moment to give. Because giving in faith moves the hand of God in ways you cannot calculate. Imagine a small farmer who has barely enough grain to feed his family. The first instinct is to eat everything or save it for the next planting season. But if he takes that one portion and gives it as seed, then watches as God multiplies it into a harvest tenfold. That is exactly the principle at work in tithing. Your giving is not a subtraction from your life, it is an investment in God's supernatural multiplication. Think about a young professional living paycheck to paycheck, trying to make ends meet. She sees her tithe as a burden. But when she commits that small percentage, month after month, faithfully, doors she never imagined begin to open. A promotion at work, an unexpected contract, an opportunity to start a side business, all appear because God honors the faith behind her giving. You see, tithing is not about the money, it is about your heart. It is about proving to God that you trust Him even when the world says you should be afraid. Consider a small business owner. Every month, after paying rent and suppliers, he hesitates to set aside his tithe. But one year, he decides to give faithfully, no matter what. That decision becomes the turning point. A major client contacts him unexpectedly, bringing in revenue that surpasses his expectations. This is not coincidence. It is God honoring the obedience of a faithful heart. The principle is simple. When you put God first, He puts provision first. When your heart is willing to obey, God's hand is willing to multiply. Even in everyday life, tithing can be demonstrated in small ways. A college student buys a meal and sets aside a portion for giving. He thinks it is too small to matter, but God sees every act of faith. Months later, scholarships, grants, and opportunities arise, changing the course of his education. Every small act of faithful giving sends a signal to heaven, I trust you, God. I believe you will provide. And when God sees that trust, He moves mountains on your behalf. Tithing faithfully also teaches patience. Imagine a mother raising her children alone, earning barely enough to pay rent. Every month, she faithfully gives a portion, praying silently that God will provide. At first, it seems impossible. Yet over time, small miracles appear. Unexpected gifts, friends helping, promotions, or new work opportunities. The consistent faith behind the giving draws supernatural favor. It is not immediate, but God's timing is perfect, and the faithful will always see the reward. Let us think of a teacher who is passionate about educating children. She gives her tithe every month, sometimes stretching her own budget. One day she receives a call about a book deal, followed by invitations to speak at conferences. Her income multiplies and her influence spreads. Why? Because the principle of faithful tithing activates God's law of increase. Giving in faith is like planting a seed in fertile soil. It may look small, but it carries the potential to grow into a mighty tree that bears fruit for a lifetime. Even the smallest acts of tithing, repeated consistently, have a ripple effect. A janitor who faithfully tithes every paycheck may find opportunities to advance into management, or discover unexpected financial blessings. A single coin given in faith can unlock doors that no human effort can open. The heart behind the giving matters more than the amount. God measures faith, not quantity. Tithing also reshapes your mindset. When you give faithfully, you learn to live in abundance rather than scarcity. Imagine a young couple struggling to make ends meet. They start tithing 10% of every income, praying for God's blessing. Over time, they discover they are more disciplined, more focused, and opportunities start appearing, promotions, side businesses, unexpected bonuses. Their faith is strengthened, their relationship with God deepened, and their finances begin to flourish. Even in emergencies, tithing has its power. A man loses his job but continues to give his tithe. Friends and family notice small miracles, unexpected side hustles appear, bills are paid in ways he could not foresee. The faithful tithe becomes a testimony of trust, opening avenues for God to demonstrate His power in provision. Tithing faithfully is not about luck or timing. It is about planting seeds of faith in God's economy, where the harvest is always abundant. And here is the truth: the more faithfully you tithe, the more God can bless. There is no ceiling in God's economy. It does not matter how small your income or how large your debt. When you obey and give in faith, God responds. You will begin to see supernatural multiplication in your life. Income increasing, opportunities opening, doors you never imagined swinging wide, all because you proved that you trust God with what you have. Your giving is a statement: God, I trust you with my life, my finances, and my future. And when you tithe faithfully, God is compelled to respond. He sees your obedience, He honors your faith, and He blesses your income beyond imagination. This is the power of tithing faithfully, a power that transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary testimonies of divine provision. When we speak life over our income, we are doing something far more powerful than just wishing for more money. Every word we speak carries energy. And when those words are rooted in faith, they have the power to create reality. Too many people complain about their finances, and their words become chains that hold them in lack. But when you begin to speak life over your income, you are declaring to the universe and to God that you are a channel of blessing, that your finances are under divine guidance, and that increase is not only possible, but inevitable. Imagine a young man working a modest job, frustrated by his paycheck. Every day he mutters complaints under his breath: I'll never make enough, I can't get ahead. Those words sink into his soul and create a barrier to the very increase he desires. Now imagine if he reversed that narrative. Each morning he says, God is my provider. My income is increasing every month. I am prosperous and opportunities are coming to me. Instantly, his mindset shifts. His actions change, and he begins to notice opportunities he previously overlooked. Consider a single mother raising 2 children, barely managing the bills. She starts her day not by worrying about what she lacks, but by declaring, God is opening doors of provision for me. I am blessed beyond measure. My income is rising. Suddenly, she receives a call from a client for extra work she had not expected. A scholarship opportunity appears for her child. Small miracles begin to compound because she has aligned her words with faith. Speaking life is not passive, it activates the forces of heaven on your behalf. Think of a small business owner struggling with slow sales. Each day he could complain, I don't have enough clients, I'm failing. But he chooses a different path. He speaks, my business is thriving, my income is increasing. Every client I serve brings abundance into my life. By consistently declaring life and success over his work, his confidence grows. He starts making calls he was hesitant to make, pitching ideas he once feared to share, and suddenly his client base grows. Speaking life is the fuel that transforms potential into reality. Even students can practice this principle. A college student working part-time to pay tuition may feel overwhelmed, thinking, I'll never earn enough for this semester. But if he begins to say, God is my provider, opportunities to earn and scholarships are coming to me, I am blessed to receive more than I need. His mindset shifts. He notices part-time jobs he had ignored, scholarships he didn't apply for, and unexpected financial gifts from friends or mentors. Speaking life over your income is not just words. It is a practice of faith that rewires your brain and your actions toward abundance. Consider the story of a couple living paycheck to paycheck. They could argue and stress about bills, but they choose to speak together. Our income is rising. God is opening doors for us. Every day brings new opportunities to prosper. Their union becomes a force of faith. Soon, one partner receives a promotion, while the other finds a freelance opportunity that doubles their monthly income. Their spoken declarations of life become a magnet for financial increase. Even in mundane daily activities, speaking life over your income works. A janitor going through a rough patch decides each morning while sweeping floors to declare, God is blessing me. My income is rising. I am prospering in ways I cannot yet see. Weeks later, he is recognized for his work ethic, offered overtime, and receives tips and bonuses he never imagined. Speaking life turns ordinary moments into extraordinary opportunities. A teacher struggling with student loans and low salary can apply this principle too. Instead of lamenting the burden, she begins each class by silently declaring, God is my provider. My income increases steadily. I am a magnet for blessings and abundance. Doors open, she receives invitations to speak at conferences, sells her educational materials online, and her income multiplies. Words aligned with faith unlock doors that logic alone cannot open. Even during emergencies, speaking life over your income has power. A man who loses his job could despair, but he chooses faith-filled words. God is my provider. I am a blessing to others. Opportunities for income are coming to me. Within days, he discovers a freelance project, then a consulting offer, then a small business venture, each opportunity seemingly appearing out of nowhere. What he spoke into existence became reality because he declared life, not lack. The principle applies to dreams as well. A young woman dreaming of starting her own business begins by speaking daily, my business is thriving. My clients are abundant. My income is increasing every month. God's favor surrounds me. The very act of speaking life fuels her vision, sharpens her focus, and attracts mentors, investors, and customers. Words create reality. Your spoken faith shapes your destiny. Remember, every word you speak is a seed. Complaints sow poverty. Faith-filled declarations sow abundance. Speak life over your income daily, in your car, at work, at home, before sleep, and upon waking. Declare with confidence, God is my provider. My income is rising. I am blessed to be a blessing. Your spoken words will move mountains, open doors, attract opportunities, and invite supernatural increase. Every situation, from the student to the entrepreneur, from the janitor to the teacher, proves the same truth. When you consistently speak life over your income, the heavens align with your faith, and God's provision begins to flow in ways that logic cannot explain. Your words are more powerful than you realize, and when they are fueled by faith, they are unstoppable. To align with your purpose means more than just knowing what you want to do in life. It means discovering the unique calling God placed inside you and committing to it fully. Many people struggle financially, spiritually, and emotionally because they are living someone else's plan or chasing goals that do not reflect their God-given purpose. You can work hard, you can be talented, but if your effort is misaligned with your purpose, increase will always feel just out of reach. Imagine a young man working tirelessly in a corporate job he hates, earning a decent paycheck, but feeling drained and unfulfilled. He is giving his time and energy, but the work does not reflect his true calling. Despite his efforts, God's blessings feel delayed. Now imagine if he takes time to seek God, discover his purpose, and align his work with it. Suddenly, his creativity flourishes, opportunities begin to appear, and his income rises naturally. Alignment with purpose is the secret that multiplies blessings. Think about a woman who loves teaching children, but is working in a field she has no passion for. She is frustrated, stressed, and feels stuck. She prays, listens to God, and starts volunteering in education while pursuing certification. Doors she never imagined begin to open. A local school hires her. A community program funds her project. And she even writes a book about teaching strategies. Her income increases not because she worked harder, but because she began operating in her God-given purpose. Every day she wakes up energized, her work meaningful, and God's favor multiplies her rewards. Even in small, ordinary jobs, alignment matters. A janitor in a hospital may feel his work is insignificant, but he discovers his gift of encouragement and begins to speak positivity to patients and staff. His attitude transforms his environment. He becomes indispensable, and leadership recognizes his impact. Suddenly, he's promoted, given new responsibilities, and financial blessings flow into his life. The lesson is clear. Purpose is not just about your title or income. It is about discovering where God placed you to make a difference. And when you operate there, provision follows. Consider a college student with a love for technology, working part-time as a cashier. While he is grateful for his job, he feels a tug toward coding and software development. He starts learning programming online while fulfilling his work responsibilities. Opportunities begin to appear. Freelance projects, scholarships, internships. His side income grows, and soon he steps into his purpose full T. God multiplies what he was doing in faith with the work that truly reflects his gifts. Alignment with purpose unlocks doors that no amount of effort in the wrong direction cannot open. Even in creative fields, alignment is critical. A young artist struggling to sell paintings may dabble in styles that are popular but do not reflect his heart. He feels frustrated and stuck. When he begins creating art that resonates with his true vision, something miraculous happens. Galleries approach him, commissions increase, and his income surpasses what he imagined. God honors the work done in alignment with purpose, and the universe conspires to amplify your impact when you are in your true calling. Think about a mother running a small home business. She initially started baking because it seemed profitable, but her true passion is mentoring young women in entrepreneurship. She begins mentoring in the evenings while maintaining her business. Word spreads, she is invited to speak at events, and financial blessings multiply. Her income increases because her work now aligns with her calling, and God blesses her obedience to operate where she was designed to serve. Even in emergency situations, alignment with purpose matters. A man loses his job, feeling hopeless. Instead of succumbing to despair, he spends time reflecting on his strengths and passions. He realizes his purpose is helping people manage finances and teaching budgeting skills. He starts online workshops and consulting services. Within months, not only does he replace his previous income, but it exceeds it significantly. God's increase follows purpose, not just effort. Alignment also transforms the ordinary into extraordinary. A teacher frustrated with low salaries begins tutoring students online in subjects she loves. She discovers her true gift is inspiring students through motivational teaching. Her side income grows, partnerships with schools emerge, and she begins speaking at conferences. Her income and influence increase exponentially because her work resonates with her God-given purpose. Even a young entrepreneur struggling with a small business can experience miracles through alignment. He focuses solely on products and services that reflect his vision to help others, rather than chasing every trend. He invests his time in learning, mentoring, and improving his offerings. Customers recognize authenticity, sales grow, and God multiplies his efforts. The alignment of his purpose attracts resources, partnerships, and opportunities he never imagined. Every example shows the same truth. Working in alignment with your purpose is not just a spiritual principle, it is a law of provision. Your income, your influence, your opportunities, they multiply when your work, reflects God's design for your life. When you commit to discovering your calling, walking in your gifts, and serving where God intends, your efforts are no longer ordinary. They become vessels for divine increase. Every step taken in alignment with purpose carries power, favor, and supernatural multiplication. Gratitude is more than saying thank you. It is a lifestyle, a mindset that opens the doors of heaven and invites increase into every area of your life. Many people overlook this powerful principle, focusing instead on what they lack. They complain about bills, stress over income, and measure life by what hasn't yet come. But God is a God of abundance, and He responds to hearts that recognize and appreciate what they already have. Imagine a young woman working a part-time job, barely scraping by, yet each morning she starts her day listing 3 things she is grateful for: a roof over her head, food on her table, and the health of her family. That simple act shifts her perspective. Suddenly, she notices opportunities that were always there. An extra shift that pays more, a small freelance project she could take on, a scholarship opening she hadn't seen before. Gratitude opens the eyes of faith to see provision that was hidden behind complaints and worry. Consider a man living paycheck to paycheck. Every month, he worries about bills and debt. One day, he decides to practice gratitude intentionally. Each evening, he reflects on 3 blessings: the job that allows him to provide, the friends who support him, and the small joys that make life beautiful. Within weeks, he begins to feel lighter, more focused, and surprisingly creative. He notices ways to earn extra income. A neighbor needs help with tasks, a client is willing to pay for additional services, and a colleague refers him to a new opportunity. The simple act of gratitude rewires the mind for abundance and attracts God's favor. Even children can practice gratitude and experience its power. A young boy receives a modest allowance, yet he chooses to thank God daily for it. He shares a portion with a friend in need. Over time, the boy's small acts of appreciation create a ripple effect. Teachers notice his generosity. Family members support his ECTs, and a local business offers him a part-time job that multiplies his allowance many times over. Gratitude is not passive. It is active faith in action. Think of a single mother juggling work and children. She could focus on exhaustion, financial stress, and sleepless nights. Instead, she begins each day with a prayer of gratitude for the work she has, the children she loves, and the lessons learned from hardship. Doors begin to open. A neighbor offers help with childcare, her boss offers overtime, and a client refers her to a higher-paying opportunity. Gratitude does not change the situation immediately, but it changes the energy around the situation, attracting God's provision and favor. Even in small daily moments, gratitude has power. A janitor sweeps floors and thanks God for each small tip, each respectful word from colleagues, and the roof over his head. His attitude transforms his environment. He becomes known for positivity and reliability. Promotions and unexpected bonuses follow. Gratitude creates a fertile soil for blessings to grow, even when circumstances seem ordinary or challenging. Consider a young entrepreneur struggling to grow a small business. He begins to keep a gratitude journal, noting each sale, each positive review, and every customer who expresses satisfaction. With each entry, his mindset shifts from scarcity to abundance. He begins to notice opportunities he had ignored before, collaborations, new clients, and ways to expand. By practicing gratitude, he becomes magnetized to God's provision, and his business grows exponentially. Even in crises, gratitude works. A man loses his job, yet each day he thanks God for the skills he possesses, the connections he has, and the small savings he can rely on. This gratitude transforms his outlook from fear to faith. Soon, new opportunities appear: freelance work, contract jobs, and unexpected financial support. Gratitude strengthens the soul, attracts blessings, and aligns the heart with God's abundance. Think of a teacher frustrated with low salaries. She begins each morning by expressing thanks for her students, her colleagues, and the chance to make a difference. Gradually, her positivity spreads. Students engage more. Parents show appreciation, and administrators notice her dedication. Invitations to workshops, writing opportunities, and speaking engagements follow, increasing her income. Gratitude is the key that unlocks doors of favor and multiplies what God has already provided. Even couples practicing gratitude together experience transformation. Instead of arguing over money, they express thanks for shared blessings, a home, meals, and love for one another. Their partnership strengthens, ideas for additional income flow naturally, and unexpected opportunities appear. Gratitude becomes a force that aligns the couple with God's abundance, multiplying their financial and spiritual wealth. The principle is universal. The more you recognize and give thanks for what you have, the more God gives to you. Gratitude is not just a polite habit, it is a declaration of faith. Every blessing acknowledged becomes a seed for greater blessings. Every small act of appreciation, every thank you, spoken in faith, becomes a magnet for provision. God honors grateful hearts, and increase is drawn to those who see the good in every situation. A young student struggling with tuition begins each day by thanking God for the small scholarship he received, for supportive friends, and for the knowledge he is gaining. Opportunities to earn extra income appear, tutoring younger students, grants, and part-time work. Gratitude transforms ordinary circumstances into extraordinary outcomes. The power of giving thanks is not limited by age, income, or status. It is a divine principle that multiplies blessings when practiced faithfully. Giving generously beyond tithes is one of the most powerful keys to unlocking God's supernatural provision. Many people limit their giving to the minimum required, thinking that obedience is enough, but God honors hearts that go above and beyond, hearts that give freely, expecting nothing in return. Imagine a young man with a modest income who decides to give not only his tithe, but also a portion of his earnings to support a struggling neighbor. At first, it feels risky. He worries about paying his own bills. But soon, unexpected blessings appear. A client doubles his contract, a friend offers a side job, and his income grows in ways he never imagined. Generosity is a seed that multiplies when sown in faith. Consider a single mother who donates a small amount each month to a local charity that helps children. She cannot see the immediate return, but she gives because she trusts God to honor her heart. Months later, she receives an unexpected bonus at work. Her child receives a scholarship, and she discovers opportunities to increase her income through tutoring and freelance projects. Giving beyond the tithe activates God's law of increase. It is a principle that cannot fail when practiced with faith. Even students can practice this principle. A college student working part-time decides to share a portion of his earnings with a homeless shelter. Initially, it seems like a small sacrifice, but soon after, he is offered a scholarship for academic excellence, additional work opportunities on campus, and mentorship from a professor who helps him secure a high-paying internship. Generosity opens doors that logic cannot explain, because it aligns your heart with God's abundance. Think of a young entrepreneur struggling to make sales. He chooses to give a percentage of every profit to help local families in need, instead of keeping every penny for himself. Within months, his business begins to thrive. New customers arrive, vendors offer discounts, and opportunities for partnerships multiply. When you give beyond your tithe, you are essentially declaring, God, I trust you to provide for me even as I bless others. That faith compels heaven to respond, and increase flows naturally. Even in small, everyday actions, generosity has immense power. A janitor saves a small portion of his income each month to buy food for a struggling colleague. Others notice his selfless heart. The colleague shares opportunities with him. Tips increase, and management recognizes his dedication. His financial situation improves not because of luck, but because generosity creates a channel for God's favor to flow. Consider a teacher who decides to mentor struggling students outside of school without expecting anything in return. She spends her time, energy, and resources helping others succeed. Soon, invitations to workshops, paid speaking engagements, and opportunities to write educational content arrive. Her income and influence increase because God blesses the generosity that flows from her heart. Generosity is not just about money, it is about giving time, talent, and resources to bless others. A young couple can also experience this principle in their daily life. They choose to help neighbors financially, volunteer for community projects, and share resources with friends in need. Their acts of generosity strengthen relationships, open doors for collaborations, and attract business opportunities. Their income rises because God sees their willingness to give beyond the minimum and blesses their hearts abundantly. Generosity creates a magnetic field for blessings to be drawn toward you. Even in moments of financial struggle, giving beyond tithes works. A man loses his job but decides to continue giving a portion to help others. He volunteers his skills to a nonprofit, offering his time and expertise without compensation. Within weeks, he receives multiple job offers, freelance opportunities, and unexpected financial support. What he gave freely returns multiplied because God honors the faith behind his generosity. Imagine a student saving to buy a new gadget, but chooses to donate a portion to a child in need. That act of selfless giving triggers unexpected favor. His parents reward him with extra support. He receives gifts from friends, and he finds new ways to earn money through small gigs. Generosity, even in small forms, is the key that unlocks God's abundance. Even business owners can apply this principle. A small cafe owner begins giving a portion of daily profits to support local charities. Customers notice the heart of the business and spread the word. New clientele arrive. Local media features the cafe, and partnerships with suppliers reduce costs. Giving beyond the tithe not only brings financial increase but also multiplies influence and impact. Every example illustrates the same truth. When you give beyond tithes, whether it is money, time, or talent, you are investing in a divine principle that cannot fail. The more generous you are, the more favor, opportunities, and income God releases into your life. It is a spiritual law. Generosity begets increase. Selflessness invites blessing, and giving beyond the minimum opens channels that remain closed to those who hoard. Your heart, aligned with God's abundance, becomes a magnet for supernatural multiplication. Eliminating debt and managing your finances wisely is one of the most powerful steps toward experiencing God's supernatural increase. Too many people pray for financial blessings, but their hearts are chained by debt and mismanagement. God cannot multiply what is already being misused or mismanaged. Imagine a young couple living with credit card debt and loans. They pray for a breakthrough, but every paycheck disappears, paying interest and late fees. They feel trapped, frustrated, and hopeless. One day, they decide to create a budget, cut unnecessary spending, and focus on eliminating debt. The moment they take control, a new door opens. A client offers a side project with higher pay, an unexpected bonus arrives, and slowly their income begins to grow because God blesses their obedience and discipline. Consider a small business owner struggling with poor cash flow. He works tirelessly, but mismanaged expenses and loans drain his profit. He decides to seek financial wisdom, track every expense, and restructure his debt. Within months, his business becomes profitable. He can invest in new opportunities, and God begins to bless the work of his hands. Debt and mismanagement were not a lack of blessing, they were a blockage. Once removed, increase flows freely. Even students can benefit from this principle. A young man takes out multiple loans to pay for tuition and living expenses. Constantly worrying about repayment, he decides to create a strict plan focusing on essentials, cutting unnecessary expenses, and paying off one debt at a time. Within a year, he is financially stable and new. Opportunities appear: scholarships, freelance jobs, and mentorship. Eliminating debt not only provides peace of mind, but aligns your life for God's supernatural increase. Think about a woman working a modest job, relying on multiple payday loans to make ends meet. She prays for financial blessing, but nothing seems to change. She decides to track her spending, cut frivolous expenses, and aggressively pay off high-interest loans. As she does, God provides favor in unexpected ways: a promotion, an unexpected gift from a friend, and an opportunity to start a side business that multiplies her income. Financial discipline is a key that unlocks doors that prayers alone cannot open. Even in everyday situations, debt and mismanagement can be barriers. A janitor spends more than he earns, borrowing money for small comforts, always behind on bills. When he begins tracking expenses, eliminating unnecessary debt, and living within his means, small miracles begin to occur. Tips increase, supervisors notice his dedication, and extra work opportunities arise. Managing money wisely is not just practical, it is a spiritual principle that allows God to bless. Consider a young entrepreneur who expands his business too quickly, taking on loans he cannot repay. He feels trapped and stressed. One day, he decides to downsize, pay off debts strategically, and focus on profitable projects. Gradually, his business stabilizes, clients return, and God begins to multiply his earnings. Discipline in debt and management removes obstacles and makes room for God's favor. Even couples can experience transformation through financial stewardship. A couple struggling with mortgages, credit card bills, and school loans decides to work together, budgeting, cutting unnecessary spending, and prioritizing debt repayment. Their teamwork creates space for unexpected opportunities, freelance work, bonuses, and gifts from friends or family. God honors those who manage their resources with wisdom, turning obedience into increase. A teacher drowning in personal loans decides to sell unused items, pay off debt systematically, and live within her means. She continues to pray for God's provision, but now walks in obedience. Soon, she receives opportunities to tutor students privately. Workshops invite her as a speaker, and financial blessings multiply. Eliminating debt is not just financial management, it is faith in action. Even students and young professionals can witness miracles when they manage finances wisely. A college student decides to stop overspending on entertainment and fast fashion, focusing on essentials and paying off small debts first. He finds freelance work, gets a scholarship, and even receives mentorship from a successful professional impressed by his discipline. Debt-free living aligns your life with divine favor and makes you a vessel for God's multiplication. Imagine a man with multiple loans and poor spending habits. He prays for breakthrough but sees little change. One day, he takes a bold step, lists all debts, creates a strict repayment plan, and tracks every penny. Within months, he notices his financial burden decreasing, opportunities arising, a consulting project, freelance jobs, even a promotion. God honors obedience in managing resources, turning financial discipline into divine increase. Eliminating debt and mismanagement also cultivates discipline, patience, and wisdom. A young woman running a small business realizes she has been over-leveraged, borrowing to cover operating costs. She restructures, cuts unnecessary expenses, and focuses on profitable activities. Slowly, her income rises, new clients appear, and God multiplies her efforts. Discipline in money management is a spiritual principle that removes barriers to blessings and activates God's supernatural provision. Working diligently with excellence is one of the most powerful ways to invite God's blessings into your life. Many people pray for increase, for promotions, or for new opportunities, yet they fail to put forth their best effort in the work they already have. Excellence is not about perfection. It is about giving your very best in every task, no matter how small it may seem. Imagine a young man working as a cashier, scanning items day after day. To the world, it seems ordinary. But he chooses to greet every customer with a smile, to be accurate in his work, and to help wherever he can. His diligence does not go unnoticed. One day, a manager observes his commitment and offers him a supervisory role, increasing his income and opening doors for further advancement. Excellence attracts divine and human favor because it honors the gift of opportunity God has given you. Consider a teacher preparing lessons for her students. She could do the minimum, copying material from previous years. Instead, she spends extra hours tailoring lessons, creating engaging activities, and finding creative ways to inspire her students. Parents notice the difference, and soon she is invited to lead workshops, write educational materials, and speak at conferences. Her diligence and excellence multiply her opportunities and income, proving that God honors those who honor their work. Even students can apply this principle. A college student struggling with part-time jobs decides to go above and beyond in every assignment, every interaction, and every responsibility. Professors notice his commitment, recommend him for scholarships, and connect him with internships, opportunities that others do not see become available to him because he chooses to work diligently with excellence. Excellence is not always rewarded immediately, but it plants seeds that grow into long-term blessings. Think of a small business owner managing a local shop. He could simply stock shelves and open doors each day, but he chooses to serve customers with care, to ensure quality in every product, and to maintain a clean, welcoming space. Word spreads, loyal customers return, and new clients come through referrals. The business thrives because diligence and excellence in even small actions attract growth and multiplication. God multiplies the work of your hands when it is done with integrity and commitment. Even in mundane roles, excellence creates opportunity. A janitor at a hospital takes pride in keeping every floor spotless and every detail attended to. Nurses, doctors, and staff notice the difference, praise his work, and recommend him for overtime and additional responsibilities. His income and reputation grow because he chose to do his work diligently, even when no one was watching. Excellence creates favor and opens doors that laziness or mediocrity cannot. Consider a young professional in an office, performing tasks that seem repetitive and unremarkable. He decides to approach every task as if it were the most important assignment of his life. Reports are submitted ahead of time, emails answered promptly, and solutions proposed proactively. Management notices his commitment and recommends him for promotions and new projects. Working diligently with excellence transforms ordinary jobs into extraordinary opportunities, and God multiplies effort that is intentional and faithful. Even artists and creatives can experience this principle. A painter struggling to sell his art spends hours perfecting each piece, experimenting with new techniques and connecting authentically with his audience. Galleries take notice, collectors reach out, and commissions increase. His dedication to excellence, despite initial obscurity, aligns his work with favor and abundance. God multiplies the diligence of those who honor their gifts and work wholeheartedly. A young entrepreneur launching a startup could do the minimum, producing a mediocre product or service. Instead, she invests extra time into research, quality control, and customer experience. Feedback is incorporated, service is improved, and trust is built. Soon, loyal clients, referrals, and partnerships multiply. Her income increases not by luck, but by consistent effort combined with excellence. Excellence attracts growth, and diligence keeps doors open for divine favor. Even in difficult circumstances, working diligently with excellence yields fruit. A factory worker faces long hours and demanding tasks but chooses to maintain precision, safety, and dedication. Supervisors notice. He is entrusted with higher responsibilities and financial rewards follow. God multiplies faithful work because diligence demonstrates stewardship, commitment, and readiness for greater opportunities. Think of a young professional balancing multiple jobs. She could be content with surviving, but she decides to approach each job with care and skill. Her supervisors are impressed, clients return repeatedly, and colleagues seek her advice. Soon she is offered a full-time position with benefits, a promotion, and side opportunities. Excellence attracts favor, multiplies resources, and positions you for breakthroughs. Even volunteers and community leaders experience the blessings of diligence. A young man serving at a local nonprofit invests himself fully, organizing events, helping others, and innovating programs. Leaders notice his initiative, offer paid positions, and opportunities arise for larger projects. His faithful work multiplies because God honors excellence and diligence, even in unseen areas. Every example illustrates the same truth. God multiplies the work of those who work diligently with excellence. Whether it is a janitor, a teacher, an entrepreneur, or a student, effort combined with integrity and intentionality attracts both human recognition and divine increase. Excellence is a magnet for opportunities, growth, and blessings, and diligence positions you to receive what God has prepared for your life. As we reach the end of this message, I want you to feel it deep in your soul. 2026 is your year of divine increase. God is ready to pour into your life beyond what you can imagine, beyond what you dare to hope for. But understand this, blessings do not fall from the sky into idle hands. They come to those who tithe faithfully, who speak life over their income, who align with their purpose, practice gratitude, give generously, eliminate debt, work diligently with excellence, and pray boldly expecting supernatural increase. This is not theory, this is divine law. You are the seed, and the actions you take are the soil where miracles are sown. I want you to hear me clearly. God is not impressed with half-hearted efforts. He is moved by faith, by diligence, by boldness, and by obedience. When you tithe faithfully, your giving becomes a key that unlocks heaven's storehouse. When you speak life over your income, your words become the magnet for favor. When you align with your purpose, your work becomes effortless, doors open, and your income multiplies. When you practice gratitude, your heart becomes a magnet for blessings. When you give beyond your tithes, you activate the principle of divine multiplication. When you eliminate debt and mismanagement, you remove the chains that block increase. When you work diligently with excellence, God multiplies the work of your hands. And when you pray boldly, expecting supernatural increase, the heavens respond to you. Faith. Listen to me. Do not underestimate the power that lies in these steps. There is a divine rhythm in life, a God-ordained pattern that moves favor to those who walk in obedience. Just like the farmer who sows the seed and waits patiently for the harvest, you too must act with faith, knowing that God's timing is perfect. Every sacrifice, every word, every act of diligence, every bold prayer is planting seeds of prosperity that will sprout in your life in ways you cannot yet see. I want you to take this seriously. Stop being timid. Stop asking for scraps. Stop limiting God with your doubts. God wants to bless you abundantly. He wants your income to rise, your work to multiply, your influence to expand. But you must act. You must step into obedience, courage, and faith. You must tithe even when it seems hard. Speak life when your circumstances seem impossible. Give generously even when your pockets feel empty. Manage your resources with wisdom and pray boldly expecting supernatural increase. Remember these words. Faith is the bridge between where you are and where God wants to take you. It is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is deliberate action aligned with God's will. And mark my words, the God who multiplied loaves and fishes, who opened prison doors, who caused the blind to see, He is ready to increase your income, multiply your opportunities, and bless your hands in 2026 like never before. Do not allow fear, doubt, or hesitation to hold you back. Stand boldly, act faithfully, and speak with confidence. God's favor is on the obedient. His blessings follow the diligent, and His increase comes to those who expect it with unwavering faith. You are not meant to live small. You are meant to rise, to prosper, and to experience abundance that glorifies God and inspires others. So today, I challenge you, take every step, make every move, speak every word, and pray every prayer with faith. Know this truth: the increase you desire is already yours in God's hands. 2026 is not just another year. It is your breakthrough, your multiplication, your year of supernatural provision. Trust the process, act in obedience, and watch as God takes your small steps of faith and turns them into monumental miracles of income, opportunity, and favor. I leave you with this promise. If you do these things, if you walk in obedience, if you believe and act boldly, 2026 will be the year where your income rises, your blessings overflow, and your life reflects the miraculous power of God at work. Step forward, believe big, speak boldly, give generously, work diligently, pray without hesitation. The increase you've been waiting for is coming, and it will come multiplied beyond your imagination.